Very good. Okay, so let's start. Second perek, perek bet, pasuk aleph. So this perek is, we're going to read a few pesukim and explain them because it's more of a global idea that he's going to go into with different subjects. So he starts. Amarti ani belibi lechana anasecha besimcha u're'e betov v'hine gam hu havel. Says Shlomo HaMelech, I thought to myself again, a new journey, a new challenge, a new opportunity. Every time he says Amarti ani belibi, he's like, okay, let's try to do something. Let's look into a new item, right? And what is that? What is that journey? Lechana anasecha besimcha. So anasecha can mean anase. I will try you, the simcha. I will try to be happy and enjoy. Anasecha can also come from the Lashon nisuch. Nisuch is nisuch hayayin is pouring of the wine on the mizbeach. Nisuch hayayin. Okay. So it says, I will let me get poured by the simcha. Let me get high, just like when you drink wine, you get on a high, right? Let me get high on the simcha. I mean, maybe the simcha is the answer. Is the answer.
You know what the problem with getting a high is?
Yeah, there's the low after that. Yeah. That's right. And I will find the good, right? I will see the good. Meaning, let me start being happy and do actions that make me happy in order for me to see the good, to see the light and enjoy it.
Above or below?
Right now, we are below. Right now, we're below the sun. No, it's very good. It's very important because chazak. But I realized that this is also futilities. And it's some things that evaporate. So why is that? So the midrash in Kohelet Rabbah, the midrash says the following: Rabbi Simon bar Zavdi Amar, Kol HaTorah she'at lamed ba'olam hazeh hevel hu lifnei תורה שבעולם הבא, לפי שבעולם הזה אדם למד תורה ושוכח, אבל לעתיד לבוא, מה כתיב תמן? נתתי את תורתי בקרבם ורבנן אמרין, עוד יתנתך יצר רע לפני יצר טוב. וראה בטוב, בטובתו של עולם הבא. So, and then Rabbi Yonah, I'm just going to finish reading the Midrash. Rabbi Yonah, בשם רבי סימון בר זביד, כל שלווה שאדם רואה בעולם הזה, הבל היא לפני שלוותו של עולם הבא. לפי שבעולם הזה, אדם מת ומוריש שלוותו לאחר, אבל לעולם הבא כתיב לא יבנו ואחר ישב. So here there's a concept that Chachamim learn from this pasuk. He says, what's the problem? What's the hevel of that simcha? What he says, this simcha reflects, again, learning Torah, doing mitzvot, or any pleasure that is done with the nefesh and the ruach, okay, with the emotion or the instinct. And I will find the true, I will find the light, I will find the good. I will see the good. And I messed up. It's not right. It's not true. Chachamim analyze, why is it not true? What's the problem? The problem is that, like, whether it's Rabbi Yonah or whether it's Rabbi Chizkiah Beshem Rabbi Simon Bar Zvid, both of them follow on the same focus. It says that what? That you learn Torah, but you forget, right? So there's a beginning and there's an end, right? It's something, you have a high of your learning, you understand it, you grasp it, we're in a shiur, it's fantastic. You get back to, you finish your shiur, you finish your class, go back to your routine, and you're like, oh, 1 second, what did we learn today?
It's like being in the moment.
Let's not go there. Yes, but it's a moment. It's a moment. It's a moment. That's the problem. It's not something that's continuous. It's a moment. It has a beginning and it has an end. And the same thing with the Tov, says Rabbi Yonah. He says all the pleasure, all the shalva, all the peace, all the harmony that a person has in this world, okay, is not really, it's not real. because when he passes on, it leaves room to someone else to come and have this harmony. Yeah, it's like you live in a house. You have a beautiful house. You enjoy. You built it. It's great. It's everything you've ever dreamed. The person passes on. He leaves the house to somebody else. So now somebody else is going to enjoy this house, right? So you're building, but at the end, somebody else. It's just the nature of life. So
and we're looking for something that's eternal.
Correct. That's what Shlomo HaMelech is looking for. Something that lasts. Something that lasts. Even if you build your house when you're 20 years old and at the age of 120 you pass on, right? And you enjoy, at one point you're going to stop enjoying it. You're going to want something else. You're going to want another house. You're going to want it more modern. You want another neighborhood. Yeah. We look at the Jewish people. We keep migrating. We keep changing. We keep, always progressing. Now, it's a great thing to progress. Don't get me wrong. But you cannot hide behind progress and think that this is what's going to bring you happiness. So here, Rabbi Simon Bar Zvid, or the Rabbi Yonah in the names of Rabbi Simon Bar Zvid, takes the same pasuk from the same concept from a different angle. He says, forget about the Torah. All the pleasure that you get, that's it. You're leaving, you're going and it's left for somebody else. He says, but Yeshaya says, in the olam haba, lo yivnu ve'acher yeshev. You will not build something that somebody will enjoy. Meaning what you build, you will enjoy it. So obviously what Chachamim learn from this pasuk is that the flaw in the happiness that Shlomo HaMelech is referring to, okay, the flaw of the high of Torah when it's instinctive or emotional, the flaw of the high of any physical pleasure is that it has an end. Adam, you're on mute. Is that it has, you have an end.
Sorry.
So if it has an end, it's not real. It's not real.
Isn't there a concept that we learn that you whatever you learn in this world, you take with you, but you can't learn anything else in Olam Haba?
Yes.
Or did I just make that up?
No. The Torah that you've acquired in this world, okay, the merit and this Torah you take with you. This will be your chelek of Olam Haba. Now,
right.
We enjoy the teachings in Olam Haba. We enjoy the teachings of whatever Olam we're in, whatever layer we're in. Okay, but that doesn't make us grow. It's a stationary pleasure of that learning. It's a little bit of a complex.
All right, let's put it on the side for now. I don't want to complicate it.
Okay.
Continue.
But in the simple answer is that yes, whatever you learn here, you bring up there, but that's not what's left only.
I'm sorry for confusing it. You continue.
Oh, okay. So that's the first pasuk. So the first pasuk is the definition of simcha, of happiness, that will lead to find the good, is the happiness, okay, that is based on an action that brings continuity. Meaning, if you build something in this world with your neshama above the sun, you create a legacy. You create a legacy. There's a perpetual happiness, because when you see that you built something, and then you see your children following on these on your step foot, right, on your footsteps. Sorry, and then you see your grandchildren following on your footstep. So you see that's it. The machine is rolling. Is running. You're like, this is fantastic. You created a legacy. You created something fantastic. So the pleasure of what you started really never ended. Because now it might not be you generating, but it might be your offsprings or your grandchildren generating.
Right.
You mean someone's always on the high?
No, not that. That's true. But the initiator also is on the high the whole time.
Right.
Because he sees what's happening next. And
so
he
this
sees
is
how
the counter argument to the first sentence.
I'm sorry?
This is the counter argument to the first sentence.
This is the first sentence.
No, yeah. That's if you do it. That's if you do it with your neshama. Right?
What's right?
That's
so
if you do it above the sun. Above, yeah.
Right, so it's the difference between learning Torah under the sun, learning the Torah above
That's
the sun,
right.
with your nefesh or without your nefesh.
Here we're under the sun. Here we're under the neshama. Now, the flip side is, Ve'ine gam hu hevel, can mean also that, Ve'amarti ani belivi lechana anasecha besimcha ur'e betov, let me go and see the good and find the happiness. Ve'ine, and you know what? Gam hu havel. This also is found in the havel. What is it? In the hevel pivit barach. This is also found in the spiritual spark that of the person. We said that the havel can or mean futility, but can also mean the hevel piv, right? The wind that comes out of the mouth of Hashem. Meaning, if you are connected to the neshama, to the shoresh, that's where you're going to find the simcha, and that's where you're going to see the good. Good.
Excellent.
It's either the fertility or, give me a word for it.
Or it's
Last
the breath of God. The breath of God, where all the souls come from. Okay. Second pasuk. Lishok amarti meholal ulesimcha mazo aso. I said, Lishok amarti meholal, like this is crazy. This is madness. Mazo aso. What good is that, right? Meaning, to the schok, to the happiness, to the jokes, to the moment where we all crack up. Amati meholal. It's mad. Why? What does this happiness brings me? What does it yield? Tarti belibi. Okay. Okay, so the second pasuk comes with Tarti belibi. Tarti comes from the lashon latour, the meragelim, latour et haaretz. They went and they spied. Tarti belibi. I started spying my heart, meaning going and checking where my heart is leading me. Seeing how I'm reacting. Limshoch bayayin et besari. Okay, that pushed my body, my flesh.
Is it almost like he's tricking himself a little bit?
Yeah, he's letting his steps and his instinct take him, but he's staying aware and conscious of what is happening to him in order to see where he's heading.
He's trying to manipulate it. No.
Understand it, yes, to see where he's holding.
Okay.
וליבי נוהג בחוכמה ולאחוז בסכלות עד אשר אראה איזה טוב לבני האדם אשר יעשו תחת השמיים מספר ימי חייהם. So basically he's saying like this. So I let my body take me, but וליבי נוהג בחוכמה, but I'm still focusing on my chokmah. To understand, to grasp the nonsense, the foolishness. Until I find out, what path, what is good, what is really good for men. That they actually can do under the sky. For the days that they have in their life. Meaning, Shlomo HaMelech is now giving us a practical tool. Okay? He's saying like this. He says, let me go, I need to find out how I behave. And where are my tendencies, where are my instincts going? Okay? What does that mean? Usually if you're reactive or you identify yourself with your emotions, You don't separate yourself from your emotion. You think you are your emotion. So by default, you're going to identify yourself by a sensitive person, by an angry person, by a fearful person, by an outgoing person. But all these emotions lead you to do certain actions. So Shlomo HaMelech says, I need, in order for me to know who I am and to understand and be objective of the situation that I'm facing, I need to separate myself from my instinct, let the reaction take me, and see where it will go. That doesn't mean I will do it, but
How do you do that?
where it will go. Huh?
Hello, I'm sorry.
How do you do that?
1 second. Can you repeat that? He
Of
needs to
awareness.
separate himself from the instinct.
It's gonna come. Give me a minute.
And in order to understand where the instinct will lead.
So you remove the emotion.
You don't remove your emotion. You remove yourself from the emotion. You don't remove the emotion.
Right.
You let the emotion take you. And then that will guide you and give you more clarity of who you are instinctively. Who is your instinct?
Can you give me an example of just a situation that?
It's simple. You want to know, for example, if you are under the influence of your desire of food or not. Okay. You know that you let's say you made
I want a hot dog.
Okay. No. But 1 second. Yes. Let's say you want a hot dog. Okay.
Desire a hot dog.
But you want to test yourself. You want to test yourself, and you want to see if you're going to react to something else. Now you chose that you want a hot dog, yeah. But you're going to walk next to a pizzeria that has an amazing smell, and you're going to look at the pizza and you're going to smell the pizza, right? If suddenly you're like, you know what, forget about the other, I want the pizza, then you know that your instinct to food is very, very strong because it overtook your decision. But if you're like, okay, it's great, but I couldn't care less, I want the hot dog, then you know that your desire for food or your instinct for food is not so paralyzing.
Why? Because it's singular against the hot dog?
It is singular.
Your desire
No,
is singular.
It's emotional versus rational, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes, it's emotional versus rational. It's to understand
the
the
pizza, the
impact the
scent
emotion
triggered
has
you.
on your rationale. Huh?
For the pizza, the scent triggered you, and then you're like, okay, that's what. For the hot dog was more of an emotional thing. Like
No.
no,
Rational.
rational.
It was more rational. At the time, you didn't smell the hot dog. You're like, you know what? You thought about it. Let's have a nice hot dog.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you went or you go and you walk and I don't know. You look at an amazing ice cream.
Right.
All right. You see it and you react on it rather than
Exactly.
deciding in advance, this is something I want.
Exactly. So, but in order to understand how far your instinct is from what your intellect and your judgment is, you need to see how strong it is, right? So the delta between how influenced you are by your emotion and your instinct versus your rationale will tell you how far you are from your rationale. And that applies in every aspect of our life.
Right.
And this is a very, very, very fundamental lesson in personal growth that Shlomo HaMelech is teaching us.
So to understand, so basically you need to understand if you're doing something, if it's something, is it the right thing to do or is it just an emotional trigger?
Correct. Okay. Now the flip side is that we know that the yain represents the Torah. Okay? And he says, "Tarti belibi limshor bayayin beyena shel Torah et besari, v'libinu ek b'chokhma v'lechos b'sichlut." He says, in order for me to be able to understand what is right and what is wrong, to understand what is valuable and what is not, instead of going walking in the dark and seeing how I react,
He went into
I
the
went
physical.
to the Torah. I went to the wisdom of the Torah. And I started learning through the Torah what guidance I should take and what is really valuable in my life. And that's what he refers to when he says yain, ve'yena shel Torah. Okay, and now he's going into okay. Higdalti ma'asai, baniti, I multiplied, okay, my ownerships, my possessions. Baniti libatim, I built houses. Natati li kramim, I planted vineyards. Asiti li ganot upardesim. Okay, I made gardens and groves. Natati b'hem etz kol peri. I planted every kind of fruit tree. Asiti li brechot mayim. I constructed pools le'ashkot mehem, so that irrigation systems. Okay, very advanced irrigation systems, so that everything gets, all the plants get enough water. Ya'ar tumeach etzim. With trees all over, forests with a lot of trees. Kaniti avadim ushfachot. I bought servant, male servant, woman servant. Ubnei bait hayali, and I had stewards. Gam mikne bakar vatzon harbe. I had a lot of cattle. I overpassed everyone before me in Jerusalem, meaning all the wealth and all the ownership that was known before. I crashed it. I amassed, right? Silver, gold, sgulat melachim v'amedinot, treasures from kings. Asiti li sharim v'sharot. I had singers. I acquired. I built. The most amazing singers and men and women. V'tanugot b'nei ha'adam, shida v'shidot. All the pleasures that a man can have, I acquired. Shida v'shidot. I had the nicest carriages, nicest. He had the Bentley, he had the Rolls Royce, he had whatever you ask. The nicest. I kept on amassing and gaining more and more wealth, more than anyone before me in Jerusalem. Right? But with all this, I remained a person with chokhmah. I didn't lose my chokhmah. I'm sorry, and then we'll go back to dive into what he's saying. Everything my eyes wanted, I didn't hold back. I didn't withhold. I didn't withhold any happiness, any enjoyment from my heart. I got enjoyment from all my work. Everything I did, everything I built, everything I developed, I enjoyed it. And that was my reward for all the wealth that I amassed and all the work that I did.
You enjoyed it in the moment.
It was fleeting.
Yes. Right? And then I started thinking about all the fortune after I got everything. And all the toil and the effort that it took to build all this wealth. And it was all futile.
Wow.
And I pursued the wind. It's like the wind. And there was no benefit from all this, from everything that I've acquired under the sun.
So he's almost upset at the fact that he spent so much time on this.
No, it's yes. From an emotional aspect, from our point of view, the answer is yes. But from Shlomo's point of view, don't forget, is that it was a journey. For him, it was a test. Okay?
He was experimenting.
Exactly, it's an experiment.
Do we know how long?
I'm sorry?
This period of time, I mean, obviously it wasn't one day. Was how long of a period of time where he?
You know how long Shlomo HaMelech lived?
No.
Somebody knows?
No.
52 years.
Something? How much?
How many?
52.
Wow.
What?
52 years.
Wow. Why?
But he lived 52 like 5,200.
Yeah.
For real. That's like Papa. He lived 77 like 177.
Yes.
Rav, that's wild. 52 years. When was he king? When did he ask Hashem for wisdom? Do we know?
13.
Yes. The timing of his kingdom is brought in the beginning.
Rob, how old are you? 40? 39?
No, I'm turning 41 Be'ezrat Hashem soon in less than a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
So you're doing pretty good for that age.
June 19th for the 24th of Sivan.
Nice.
By the
I'm
way.
17th Sivan. May
Nice.
30th. Yeah.
So you're Gemini also.
Yes.
So okay.
Whatever
So
that means.
let's go back into the different
Wait, Rob,
sections.
who was he writing this for? Did he write this and then send it out to everybody, or like who picked
Right.
it up?
Don't
you know?
forget, Divrei Kohelet. Kohelet is to the Kahal, to everybody. This is a
Was he
word
trying to show them?
applicable for everyone.
Was he trying to show them that you don't need to go through all this because I went through all this, and you should maybe
I
just
think
skip
yes.
to the
I think
event?
that there's yes. It's a lot of reflection, but also yes, it's a lot of reflection coming from who Shlomo HaMelech was, but it's also it's a little bit more than that. I think it's a guide, a manual's guide.
Manuscript.
Right, a playbook.
No, like an instruction guide, manual
Like a playbook.
to tell you what to do and what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the aspect of let me share with you my experience so that you don't do this, you don't waste time. But there's also let me tell you what life is about.
He's not necessarily telling you can enjoy here, but he's just telling you to know that you have to do it in the right way.
Correct. Well, what's very interesting is that if you look at the commentaries of the Gaon Mivilna, he stops his commentary on the third pasuk.
Wow.
Meaning everything else is just a breakdown of the introduction that we learned in the beginning.
It almost seems like the way he writes is very interesting. Like the style is, he kind of puts everything in one line, right? And then he tells you, well, there's this side of it, and then there's the other side of it. And it's a juxtaposition between the same item, but two different ways. And that's
Correct.
kind of how he sees life.
Correct. There's a structure, and then he shows you the different facets of it.
Did
Right,
he
like you said,
understand?
when you're building something, you understand both sides of it, so you know how to build it the right way.
Exactly.
It's a good way to look at everything.
It's like
When he was writing
mechanic.
all this stuff, did he understand where the world was going to evolve to?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
But it was Ruach HaKodesh, right?
Yeah, more than it was nevuah. It was like prophecy.
Was it Nebuah?
Yeah. Shlomo HaMelech, you cannot say it was not nevuah. I mean, there was nevuah at his time still. So everything he wrote was.
He had Shmuel, right?
Ken.
Shmuel and
Well, it was at the time of David and at his time also. Yes.
Right.
Okay. Let's go back into let's go back into the structures because okay.
Yes.
So he starts the perek by saying that he's looking for the happiness in order to see the light of good. In order to see the good, to find the good. And then he says, let me try and follow where my instinct takes me. Meaning that if the instinct of Shlomo HaMelech was the most acute and the most sophisticated instinct a person can ever have. Now the instinct is hand in hand with our five senses. Okay, they work in perfect harmony. And together they drive the horse. So he says, let me, I dived into the Torah, and this is what I took out from the Torah. Or if we understand that the yain is b'yena shel Torah, like the Midrash wants to say, or no, the yain is also the gematria sod. Sod is samech vav dalet, is 70. Yain is yud nun, also 10, 10, 50, 70. Meaning when the wine brings out the secrets that are hidden inside of you, of who you really are.
But wine
I'm sorry?
wine means Torah.
Yes. So there's the wine. Yain is very interesting. Yain has two aspects to it, two facets to it. There's a dark side to it, and there's a positive side to it. There's a Torah. It can mean the Torah, but yain also is the fruit. Okay, according to some Chachamim that Adam Arishon ate. Okay, from the Etz Da'at Tovara. Now we also find that Noach, when he gets out of the Teva, he plants, a vineyard, and that's how he's going to get drunk. And then we know the whole story of his son that sees him naked, and Canaan sees him naked, and he curses him, meaning the curse came to the world because of the wine. This is why when we make Kiddush, we say Sabri Maranan. Okay, what do you hold? Everyone, what do you hold? And everybody says Lechaim, to life. Meaning we do the tikkun of the wine to bring out the good from it and not its negativity. Not its dark side. This is why the wine has a special beracha and a special meaning in everything that we do, right? Every time you have to be, you have a special moment. We do kiddush, whether it's at a wedding, whether it's on Shabbat, on the Chagim, right? So Avdalah. So every time, so here he says, let me take the wine, let me open my secrets, let me follow my deep tendencies that are hidden and see who I really am. If you really want to know what you're built up, what you're wired with, take away all your conscience, take away your fears, and let yourself go. And you don't know where you're going to end up. You don't know if you're going to end up being a good guy or become a criminal. We don't know, because we have layers and layers and layers of fears and of structure and of peer pressure and of social
anxiety.
Yes,
right. It's like as an example. I know that I read somewhere when I was reading Navi that after the second Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, the rabbis were worried about the future. And they said that they prayed to Hashem that we wouldn't have the urge for idolatry. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's why when we read about something like Chet HaEgel, we all look at it and say, oh my God, how is that even possible?
Yeah, because it was canceled. It was
canceled out, that desire.
That's right.
And it's almost like we can't even understand it because it's not a natural desire of us.
Correct.
Right? But back then, it was a natural desire for them. And when they had the chance to sin, their natural inclination was to go there.
That's right. Perfect. That's exactly it. So it's even so. What we're saying is the same thing, but we're saying, you know what? If Shlomo HaMelech said, "Let me forget I'm a king. Let me forget I'm anybody. Let me see what the animal that's in me wants to take me."
Right. Okay? What are my animalistic desires?
That's right. Right.
It's like we don't really know if we would kill or not, because we know if we kill, we'll go to jail.
That's
if you
right.
Take that away.
That's right.
Really kill.
That's right.
I mean, for Shlomo HaMelech to do such a thing, he knew how to overcome his weaknesses. If we use that method, it's very dangerous.
No, you cannot use that method. You cannot use that method. Keep in mind that he's saying it's a test, it's an experiment. So he's always in control. Meaning he can always press on the stop button.
Okay, we can't.
We can't. No, we're far from it. So he comes and he says, okay, so I unleash the beast. You know who did the same thing? Aristotle. You know the famous story of Aristotle? Aristotle was, that he was the mentor of Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
He followed Alexander the Great. Okay? And Aristotle was found once with his students he was having an intimate relationship with an animal, with a horse.
Oh wow.
Majnun.
So so his students came to him and they said, we don't understand. You're Aristotle, like the greatest mind. The Rambam says that Aristotle was touching the gates of prophecy. That's how smart and how complete he was. So we don't understand. So what was his answer? He said, when I was with the horse, I'm not a man, I'm an animal. When I think, I'm a man, and when I do, when I'm with like this, I'm an animal. And the Rambam from this built his study case of nature of that went all against this concept that you have an animal inside of you and then you have a man that's inside of you. Says the Rambam, absolutely not. In his first book, chapters of the introduction to Pirkei Avot, he said we have a nefesh of a man. We don't have a nefesh of an animal and a nefesh of that has a brain. We're not an upgraded version of the monkey. We have a different nefesh. Okay?
So Shlomo is just trying to figure out what type of human he is.
Exactly. But listen, if you think about it, how do you know how to work on yourself if you don't know what your weaknesses are?
Right.
If you're in denial, how can you actually build yourself? So, so what is he saying? He says, okay, let's unleash and let's see where the nefesh takes me. I want to know who I am. And then he went wild. So I went after money, after wealth. First, number one, the first kill is money.
Which pasuk are we on? Like Yud Gimel?
Tet. Okay. So first, I amass more money and more wealth than anybody before me. Oh, what? No, sorry. Yes, sorry. Okay. Okay, sorry. Dalet. Right? I amassed wealth. And what did I do after I had money? Real estate. Then I invested in commodities. So first, money.
You're in the third perek? I'm sorry.
No, second perek, pasuk dalet, the fourth pasuk.
We're going back to explain everything.
Right now, yes, we went forward and then I went back. I'm going back to explain his methodology, meaning where did the nature, the desire took him? First, it took him to have wealth, to have cash. And with this cash, he invested in real estate. And after real estate, in commodities, natati li kramim. I built myself vineyards. Asiti li ganot, upardesim. And after I had cash, I had real estate, and I had commodities, I started enjoying. I built nice parks. Natati b'ayim etz kol peri. I wanted every fruit. I wanted the enjoyment, the taste. I wanted to taste the fruits. Asiti li brechot mayim. I had swimming pools, le'ashkot mehem, and irrigation system. Then I wanted to start going into mastering the knowledge, the understanding of the commodities. How do I grow my commodities? Kaniti avadim u'shrachot. But then I wanted servants. I needed to feel powerful. U'bnei bayit hayali, and I had a lot of people. I needed social recognition. I had a lot of meat. I had a lot of cattle. More than anybody else. And then I wanted more. Then I started amassing. After I had all this, where did I put my effort? In silver and gold. And riches.
And silver and gold is not the same as money from the beginning?
No, silver and gold are they're commodities also. Okay, but that's at that point it's reserves. Okay. Right? It's like you have how do you back up your wealth with the reserves? So you cannot like knesset kinus, right?
Got it.
I started reserves of silver, of gold, of riches from all the world. Asiti sharim vesharot, and at that point it's very, very important. And now he shifts to something that has like nothing to do with anything. I made to myself singers and male and female singers, and pleasures and carriages, beautiful carriages. At this point, meaning after he finished with his reserves, it seems that he's lost. He needs more. At that point, there's why do you have people singing for you? Because you're sad.
Right, it's comfort.
You need. So apparently, after he had all this, he hit a moment of sadness, a moment of down.
Or maybe once he was done with the physical things that he could derive enjoyment from, he wanted to go to the non-physical, which is singing and
yes,
other pleasures.
also. But it means that the physical was not enough. It was not hitting home anymore. So there was a void, and that void led to singing. Okay. Sharim v'sharot v'ta'anugot b'nei Adam, and the pleasures of humans, all the pleasures. Shida v'shidot, okay, and it's shida v'shidot can mean the carriages, but it's also different tools of musical instruments. The Rashi says it's weird new musical instruments. More again. V'gadalti v'osafti, I grew and I amassed more than anybody else before me. Av chokhmati amdali, but I kept my chokhmah.
Rav, I have a question. If he understood how people work so well, one of the places people derive the most enjoyment is physical relationships. How come he didn't include that to rule that out? And say even meaning like his relations with women or physical pleasures. Why didn't you talk about that so people could rule that out and say, even after all that, it wasn't worth it.
We'll get to that.
But I think
because
he did.
There's a vice that you have to be en apotropos la'arayot. Chachamim say there is no tutor to the vice of women. Meaning this is something that if you go in that direction, you can never come back. It's extremely, extremely, extremely difficult to taste the vice of women and think you can turn around. I mean, and that's the most essential, that's the fundamental message that Yosef HaTzadik teaches us. So
right. When he was with Potiphar.
It will be addressed. Right now, if he tackles, listen, you have to understand that all the money in the world, we've seen people waste it for women. We've seen people jeopardizing their political power, their strength, their wealth for one little pleasure. Mm-hmm. And they end up collapsing just because of a woman that goes and starts talking about this few minutes of pleasure. Strauss-Kahn, DSK, Strauss-Kahn was the most powerful man in France. He was becoming president. Okay? He had everything. He was married to a beautiful, famous spokeslady on TV. Okay? He had everything. He was the president of Central Bank. He had everything. Yeah? He collapsed. Boom. Moment of weakness with a woman in the hotel. And that was the end of the story of Strauss-Kahn, and he was gone, destroyed, lost his wife, lost his career, didn't become a president, renounced from his position in the World Bank, Central Bank. That was done, good and finished. So it's a very good point you're raising. But here, Shlomo HaMelech is focusing on things that a person want to feel comfortable with.
Rabbi, is he the one that said that where you should have your money, a third?
No, that's Chachamim. It's a Gemara. Okay. I didn't stop anything. I didn't refrain my pleasures from anything that my eyes looked at or wanted. I didn't stop my heart from enjoying every happiness. because I'm happy from all, I enjoyed every effort and everything I toiled for. And that was my satisfaction, that I can enjoy everything I did. And then I started thinking into everything that I did, every toil that I had, in order to get to amass and get all the pleasure and all the wealth. And everything was a waste. Futilities. And I didn't find anything substantial that lasts from all my action and my efforts under the sun. Under the sun. So what we have here, if we think, is an upgraded, it's a version of where a person goes in his quest, okay, for power and wealth. And he's very clear on the level, on the layers, right? At the end, to say, you can amass as much as you want on every level. At the end, you go back to futility. So do not think, again, do not think that this is where you're going to find happiness and this is the good. You shouldn't have it. He just says that this is not where you're going to be happy. This is not how you build a legacy. It can be a byproduct.
Rav,
This
isn't
is
it
not how you build it? Not with this desire. Again,
It definitely helps
we're
pay the
talking
bills.
about a desire, an instinct, an emotional desire that fuels you to get to all these. We're not talking about the end result. We're not saying that you shouldn't have real estate. We're saying that if you need the real estate out of instinct, out of emotion, this is not how you're going to build a legacy. This is not how you're going to be happy. But if you use your chokhmah, you use your yirat shamayim, you use your da'at, and you build a structure that lasts, a structure that's viable, a structure that can grow with your family based on values, on morality, on the Torah, that stays forever. Yes, you build a legacy.
I almost feel like he's telling us, if you build it the way with the values and morality, eventually the physicality, it'll come. The money will come to you.
Yes, it has to come. Let's not forget what we spoke about in the first Shurim, and we brought the Rambam. The Rambam says, in order for you to be able to think correctly, you need to have a healthy body. You have to be emotionally balanced. You have to be. You can't be frail, or you cannot be vulnerable. Right? That's how you bond and you connect to Hashem. So definitely, when you want to build a future, you want to build a legacy, you want to build your olam haba, you want to build your spirituality, your komad, the Adam that's in you, the man that's in you, then that's what it takes. Yes, it takes also physicality.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody is dependent to the same level of or the same needs, physical needs. Mr. Reichman, Rav Moshe Reichman, Paul Reichman, I'm sure everybody heard of him. Okay? He was at his time probably one of the wealthiest Jew in the world. I met him towards his last years. And we became close. And
From Canada, right?
Yes, from Toronto.
Yeah.
He used to own Canary Wharf. That's what actually took him down. He told me, Hashem gives money to the ones that need it. Do you understand the depth of his words? Meaning, you get the physical that you get is basically the physical that you need. That if without it, you cannot perform. You cannot be yourself. So someone that doesn't have it, it's not a curse. It might be a curse to him because he thinks that he needs it because others have it. But if he understands that he gets what he needs, he will find his strength somewhere else. So not everybody has the same need in order to perform in life.
I have the need, Rav.
We all want,
but Adam, if you had everything that you wanted or whatever, what would you be? You wouldn't have the need anymore. And that's what he's saying. What you have right now will fuel you.
Correct.
And by the way, there's a beautiful Gaon on Aser Te'aser. The Pasuk says Aser Te'aser. You have to give Ma'aser of the Ma'aser. So the Chachamim learn in Masechet Megillah, Aser kedei shetit'asher. Give Ma'aser in order to become rich. So the Gaon Mivina asks, well, what is that? Like it's like
a trick.
It's a trick. So he says something beautiful. He says, what does it mean, Aser kedei shetit'asher? When you give Ma'aser, it's like the 10% is not yours. The 10% is owned by the poor. It's just like Kadosh Baruch Hu made it in a system that it goes through what you make.
Like a messenger.
Oh, Chazak. He says you're nothing else but a messenger. That 10%. So what does he say? He say, if you're a good messenger, you make sure that to take something from point A to point B.
You're reliable. They'll give you another chance to be a messenger.
Exactly. So now you gave 10. You're a good messenger. Now I want to send through you 20. But in order for me to send through you 20, I have to give you an extra 90.
Uh-huh.
So now you're making instead of making 100 and 10 is it, you're making 200 because now there's 20. It says the Gaon Mivina, that's how you become rich through Maaser.
Wow.
If you
Prove you're a reliable messenger.
Exactly. You become FedEx overnight.
By the way, exactly. By the way, when it's as an example, when you start at a low level at a job, they give you a low level task. It says, okay, take these, go to the printer, print it out for me, and bring it to me. You do a good job, great. Now you check that box. Okay, you get elevated to the next task and the next task.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
So, beautiful. So, going back to where we were. So here, basically, Shlomo showed us how he was wired, and not him, how we are all wired, because that's a universal message to all of us, how we are all wired. But also a way to build yourself. If you want to build yourself and have something that's sustainable with, again, let's not forget, all this is if you don't have the neshama. But if you do have the neshama, then those are the steps. Start making money, put money aside. You have money aside, buy real estate. You have good real estate, then start investing in commodities. You have commodities, start building a reserve. You understand? But then it makes sense. Then it's real. So from that heaven that Shlomo HaMelech is talking about, we learn the path and the direction we should be taking with our neshama in order to build something that's sustainable and that can last.
Okay, I like that. Can we say that in a sentence again?
Okay. If the Shlomo HaMelech is teaching us that with the influx of our neshama, right, we can build something that's sustainable, okay, physicality, okay, wealth that's sustainable for generations. And that's through and then investing in real estate, number 2, and then number 3, investing in commodities, and then creating reserves.
So what he's saying is not only is your good deeds and your Torah going to last forever. If you follow these proper steps, you can have the physical last forever.
That's right.
Which is the first time he's saying something to helping your legacy here.
Well, let's not forget that everything he says when he talks about under the sun, meaning this is the natural instinct or this is the wiring of people, okay? And that's the result when you don't involve the da'at, if you don't involve the neshama.
Right.
But if you involve the neshama, then everything that you've done now has a purpose.
That's a little bit more uplifting and not negative. It's if you're doing it the right way, the physical can last forever also.
Yes. Well, forever in the physical dimension. Yes. That's the beauty, is that Shlomo HaMelech, if you understand the comparison or the side by side, like Stan was saying, you have a skeleton, okay, and then you have what you can accomplish and what it represents with the neshama and what it represents without the neshama.
Very good.
Amazing.
Okay. One more pasuk, because that concludes his idea before shifting to the chokhmah. Ufaniti ani lirot chokhmah, and then I turned. You know what? It's okay. It's fine, because this is already when he says okay, and then I leaned on the chokhmah. I turned to the wisdom.
So we're up to Yud. We're up to Yud Aleph.
We're at the Yud. Yes, we finished Perek Bet from Aleph until Yud Aleph.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you, Rav. Great class.
Great
We'll
stuff.
see you on Thursday, God willing.
Yes, Be'ezrat Hashem.
Thank you so much.